Hello, my name is Ben Muldrow, and I'm proud to present the branding recommendations for Noster, Missouri. So whenever we make branding recommendations, we always like to start by looking at the different branding materials that already exist. And on this slide, you'll see a collection of some of the logos that currently exist there in Noster. Across the top row, you will see all the different high school logos. You do a great job with consistency in your Panther logo, as well as the use of the signature orange and black of the school colors. In the middle row, you will see City and Revitalization Commission logos. Again, landing in on a similar color palette with blues and greens and yellows, but also making a point to not use the high school colors, which actually can be a really good strategy in some communities. And then finally, along the bottom logo, you will see, or bottom row, you'll see logos like the fire department, state park, and even the ROTC there at the school. So just a different collection. All the logos are perfectly fine, but there's not a whole lot of coordination between those. Now, that being said, there has been some really good graphic communication that has come out of the Noster Revitalization Commission. A lot of use of solid colors and color blocks and fantastic photography, and really want to applaud that and help to kind of reinforce that and continue to use that look and feel moving forward. So with that, we always like to talk a little bit about the Brand Toolkit. And in this Brand Toolkit, there are four main components. The first is a uniform color palette, and we'll make those recommendations today, looking at the colors that already exist and just connecting the dots to create a color palette that you can use consistently across the board. Then Typeface, being able to select fonts that you can again use consistently, and with a name as unique as Noster is, it's very important for you to be able to convey that name in a way that is consistent. Then we'll look at our approach to our graphics, and then also the approach to our message. So we'll start with our color palette. With the color palette, we are literally reinforcing all of the colors that we saw pre-existing between the school and the community. So we are recommending a 6-color palette. We have 2 shades of blue. We have the gold that transitions into the orange, and then we have 2 shades of green. So again, pulled from everything you're already using. That way there's absolutely no motivation to feel like you have to go and change anything that you've already invested in. With that, we begin to look at the typeface. And with this, we selected 2 different typefaces. The first is a traditional serif typeface. It has a nice thick weight to it. It works very well with the name Noster. And I think one of the other things that we came to realize as we were looking at typefaces is Noster is a unique name. It's a name that you're not used to seeing. It's a little bit jarring as people come across it. And we found that having it in all capital letters actually made it really hard to read. So we were looking at typefaces where Noster looked very good in what we call title style. Title style is when the first letter is capitalized and the rest is lowercase. So that really helped to kind of hone in on this primary typeface. And then our secondary typeface is a sans serif typeface. It is content neutral and intended to be kind of contemporary and adaptable. And believe it or not, the name of this typeface is actually Montserrat. So kind of an interesting little tie to an unincorporated community just to the west of you. But the great thing about this typeface is it has several different weights and thicknesses to it. But again, it is just meant to be a nice content neutral supplement to that brand system. So from there, we start to be able to see what we call the word type. This is what your name looks like in that typeface. And you're seeing both Noster, and then also we heard people on the ground simply refer to themselves as Knob. And that seems to be part of the local vernacular. And this is an appropriate place to incorporate the all capital letters. So you can kind of see what those look at. So then from there, we wanted to look at the message. And with the message, I always like to keep things really simple. I like to look at everything that exists, see if there's anything that makes sense, anything that sticks out. And I think that having worked in over 600 communities across the country, having worked in many communities that are home of military bases, one of the things that is unique about Knob Noster is your connection to Whiteman Air Force Base, and also being the home of the B-2 bomber. Now, this can be a kind of difficult graphic and visual to tie into, but one of the things that I think is amazingly simple about this connection is the code name of the plane, the B-2 Spirit. And that simple word Spirit is something that I feel like we can really play off of, and you'll see how all that kind of comes together in just a moment. But that really was that inspiration from the message. And then for our graphics, I think one of the big things that we wanted to do is we wanted all of this to be very subtle evolutions. We didn't want it to feel like a complete redesign. It didn't want it to feel like we were leaving anything behind, but simply evolving and enhancing the things that currently existed. So obviously, we're drawing in on the imagery of the knobs, of the sun, the energy, that idea of a new day. We see that replicated in both the city logo and the Revitalization Commission logo. And then also a thoughtful incorporation of the B-2 into that overall composition. Now, one of the things that I do want to comment on is the B-2 bomber is not a typical airplane. It doesn't look like a typical airplane. If you notice in both the ROTC as well as the fire patch, the B-2 has been incorporated in both of those, but it has also, they don't always look like they're flying. You know, the flying wing is kind of an interesting shape. You want to make sure that the plane looks like it's aloft. You definitely don't want to make it look like it is going down or landing or heaven forbid, even crashing. So I think that one of the things that you have to be very, very conscious of is the angle in which you portray this. So the first thing that we did was a very, very simple design update to that city logo. We enhanced the imagery of the knobs, we enhanced that sunrise, and then chose a slightly different angle on the bomber. And this is what it looks like. Again, not groundbreaking, just a very simple evolution of what you have been using. The nice thing is you could literally incorporate this and not feel compelled to change any of the things that you were already using. But then where it starts to get interesting and fun is tying in all those things that we talked about. How do we expand the color palette? How do we bring in all these different elements? How do we play off of this idea of spirit? And the system came together in something that looks kind of like this. Very, very simple icon of 5 different bombers kind of facing each other and creating a star. Star is both patriotic and focused on energy, and it's got such a nice, clean, symbolic look and feel to it. Now, the nice thing about this is by incorporating all these colors from our palette, it doesn't take it too patriotic. It doesn't take it too military focused. It gives us this opportunity to still be very community centric. Bring in the orange from our schools, bring in the green from the agriculture that surrounds us, and really tie in and start to tell these stories. So you can see this simple idea. There's this one tagline that simply says American Spirit, but then also the idea of where spirit is at home. Making this connection between both the bomber but also the spirit of the people and how unbelievably inviting this community is. Now, where it starts to get fun is when you start to build in brand extension, taking this simple idea of American spirit and starting to grow that idea. Hometown spirit, Panther spirit, and you see the icon can literally change with each one and those colors. Holiday spirit, volunteer spirit, community spirit. All of those things are this opportunity to build an ever-growing wave around this simple word and this simple idea. So this kind of sets the stage for both your city brand as well as your community brand. But then it also opens up this door for how can we incorporate this into the Revitalization Commission? They've done a great job with kind of owning downtown KN. They've used it as a hashtag. They had a very simple logo that incorporated a large KN and brought in that sun and the hills and the energy behind it. So what we've done is we've simplified and evolved that. We've taken the graphic out from behind the letters, make it a little bit easier, create a bit more of an icon that they can truly use, and then also brought in these colors to create 4 different colors that help to talk about the 4-point approach of the Main Street model. And it looks something like this simple idea of this circular icon with these rolling hills and this energy and this new day, with each one of those representing one of the points, with green economic vitality, blue design, gold for organization, and orange for promotion. And you can even see as that begins to grow and evolve, it might simply start to be known as Revitalize KN or Revitalize Knob. It's completely up to you all. It sets the stage for additional expansion, simple things like downtown Knob. It gives you that way to kind of grow and expand. But where it really gets fun is when you start to use the colors and the typeface and the approach to graphics to make their way into the brand extension of the events. Things like Knobtoberfest. Absolutely fantastic looking event, great photos online, but again, being able to easily tie these things in together, create these subtle connections back into the overall brand, and contribute positive brand equity into this overall system. As well, Springfest, again, we have this kind of flower made out of the B2. I mean, kind of a fun, neat little way that you can expand and grow on that. But again, fantastic photos, absolutely vibrant event, being able to kind of show that off. Showing how the brand system can make its way into the banner systems that exist, creating different banners that lead people in and create continuity up and down your street. Making merchandise that people want to have. Shirts that are attractive that people want to wear. Oftentimes we talk about how communities have car wash t-shirts. The only thing that they have to show their pride in the community is a shirt that has 600 logos on the back and it's so ugly you only wear it to paint or cut the grass. So being able to make this brand available to your businesses and allow them to profit off of people's connection with the community. Being able to make things like baseball hats, hoodies, and even creating merchandise for your event volunteers, tying them in and giving them something to wear as they participate in these events, creating this upswell of support around all the things that are going on there in the community. And along with that, we always like to focus in on implementation. So we've created a couple tools that will help you take these and begin to implement the tools that we've presented. The first is an implementation checklist. This is simply broken down into 3 phases, and we feel like we've done a pretty good job of getting most of the things that you need to think about incorporated into this 1-page document. It will help you to plan, it will help you to kind of get some momentum behind this and begin to roll this brand out. The second piece is called How to Be a Brand Partner, and it simply focuses on sharing with other community organizations and event organizers as well as businesses in your community how they can take advantage of this brand system and use it to help tell their story. And then in addition to that, for Revitalize KN, we have created this brand score sheet where they can simply go through, score their own implementation, and identify for themselves the low-hanging fruit. With that, what we'll be doing is we will be giving a little bit of time for you all as members of the community to think about these recommendations, offer back refinements, and then we're going to create a comprehensive style guide that it identifies all the typefaces, all the colors, tells you how to use it, how not to use it, and then we will create a full digital deployment package for you all to use. Everything that you see is yours to use, and we truly hope that these tools will help you continue to do the fantastic job of telling the story of all the amazing things that are happening in Noster, Missouri. So thanks again for your time today. Thank you for your participation in the process, and we look forward to seeing all the amazing things that happen in Noster.